you heard of him, lad? If you heard of Sauron?
Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Tavis Leaf Glover, and today we're going to be analyzing the Rings of Power, which is part of the Lord of the Rings. It's a prequel, and it's coming out September 2nd of 2022. And it's going to be a visually stunning, amazing series to watch. So we're going to run through this trailer real quick and see what kind of composition techniques and dynamic symmetry they use within the visuals they have in this trailer. So right off the bat, in this first scene, we see nice figure grind relationship, you got that rim light, and also aerial perspective, and then they're working with the balance as well. Dividing the vertical center, this is the Root 6 grid, and we've got the 5 proportions here on the center area. So we can see how they're balancing from left to right, and she's reaching across that vertical center line there. She's adding the helmet to the others. The stack of helmets is creating a diagonal in this way right here. It's not necessarily paralleling the grid, but it's close to this reciprocal diagonal here. Here's the establishing shot, shows how large the stack of helmets is. We can check the diagonal, see how it's paralleling this diagonal here and then this one as well. So it's almost like a triangular pyramid shape. Lots of aerial perspective, great shot there. And then we can see the winds blowing her dress. That's a nice little sense of movement with the clouds moving from left to right and her dress is blowing from left to right. It's a nice establishing shot here with the camera panning around to the left, revealing the distant city on the mountain here, and then this one as well with the waterfall and aerial perspective coming in. These mountains in the distance reduced in contrast, that's creating the depth because these have more contrast. And then we can see little birds flying, very cool shot. This one's using separated shapes, so we can see most of the characters are separated. So this guy's face is seen, this one, their head, her head, his head, that one, that one, that one. So most of these heads are being seen and shown, except for this one and then this one right here. So that's nice separation though in a very complex scene. Nice figure ground relationship on the main subjects here. Their heads are. It's a great tree. Nice aerial perspective. You can see how his arm's creating that diagonal in the scene. So the more diagonals we add to the scene, we get a more dynamic feel to it rather than straight verticals and horizontals. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's a great scene. Also, if we're looking at figure ground relationship and separated shapes, we just want to make sure that the characters are clearly defined against the background. So all these are well lit ones are clearly defined. And then these characters are separated from these ones. And if we look at it, the only one that's hidden, it looks like there's someone maybe on the opposite side of this person. We can't see him, but for the most part, even this person here is clearly defined. These people are separated from the others. This person is separated. So everybody's pretty much separated, so we can see what's going on in the scene. And we've also got these lights that are separated and not overlapping as well, creating a nice pyramid shape there. So very, very stunning scene right there.
We thought our light would never dim.
The skies are strange.
This one, nice foreground, little boats floating down the water, and the kids are running through the grass, up the hill in the middle ground, and then we've got the distance faded in contrast with the aerial perspective. Nice lens flare here, creating that aerial perspective. Nice depth, some more lens flare and aerial perspective. Got all these birds flying in the sunlight, very nice element there. So they're balancing this scene. If we put the grid on and create that vertical center line, we can see that they're balancing these people with the flight of the birds and then the high contrast of this sun here. It's a nice scene. Got the characters on the right side and then the shooting comment or whatever that is on the left side. So we're balancing it from left to right. Nice figure ground relationship. And when you have silhouetted shapes like this, it's nice to have an aspect of view so we can see his arm there. And then the fireball shoots down in a diagonal. You'll see a lot of center compositions. A lot of people that like the rule of thirds, they were taught to get things out of the center, which is not really correct for any perfectly balanced composition. You can see a lot of professionals using the center and they're balancing it from the vertical center line here. It's like a teeter-totter. It's the fulcrum is the center and then you balance from left to right. You don't just place something on the right side and forget about all this negative space here. You got to balance the image. So that's what they're doing here. You got the center and then the characters are balanced from left to right. Same with this one. Balanced from left to right. Nice aerial perspective in this. So if you're liking this kind of stuff, there's links in the description below. You can check out the things that I make for artists. tips to help them surpass their plateaus and reach their master level. So if you have time, check those out. This is a cool shot right here with the silhouetted shapes of these characters. They're spread out and creating an aspect of view, so we can see that their bodies are kind of flailing in the air or whatever that is. Kind of looks like they're underwater too. Anytime you have these particles in the air, they have the chance to create aerial perspective and reduce the contrast of the scene. So like these closer ones here, how they reduce the contrast of the background here. Interesting shot here from a low position and shooting upwards, and we'll take a look at their balance. Balance from right to left. We have them just to the right of this vertical center line and their gazes coming this way, so it helps the balance. It's a nice shot right here. We've got that diagonal in the background, and at one point it parallels this Baroque diagonal. You can see how it's moving to parallel it, and then it keeps moving. The camera's moving around. So even paralleling this reciprocal diagonal here. There's a nice centered shot with aerial perspective in the distance and nice balance from left to right. Same with this one, nice aerial perspective, and they've got them on the right side of that square right there. Aspect of view, you can clearly see that it's a person walking. Got diagonals on the right side here. It's like this upper part is paralleling the Baroque diagonal. Another diagonal up here seems to be paralleling the sinister diagonal. So if we take this right side of that out, if you cover it with your hand, we've got a very cool image, but still this adds a lot of interest because of those diagonals. So another centered shot, nice aerial perspective. The lighting changes from left to right. That's a cool concept there. You can see it on the left side and then it changes to the right. More diagonals. The way he's posed, his body's creating a diagonal and then his arms coming down to meet his leg. They're all working those diagonals here. This one's on that Baroque reciprocal diagonal, and then this is on the sinister diagonal here, and they're balancing from left to right. Another diagonal coming up on this way, the left side here. It's on the 45-degree angle of the square. So this grid is specially made. You can, if you have all these grids, you can create your own type of grid that suits your needs, but this one was created for cinematography. It's got the phi measurements here, measured from the edges. It's got the rebated square with the 45-degree angles right here, and then it's got the root 6 dynamic symmetry diagonals here, and then the major diagonals. So this one's great for cinematography and analyzing cinematography. Centered composition, look at this diagonal coming in. So they know how to work these diagonals to create a more dynamic scene. Lens flare, very cool shot, how it just comes up, gets a little bit lower, and the light above catches the camera. We get that nice lens flare. Contrast is immediately reduced, and we get that depth. This is on a diagonal, this sword coming up and paralleling the 45-degree angle of this square. Very cool shot with the sword kind of forming in his hand.
Find the light, and the shadow will not find you. Together we can survive this!
This is another great shot. We've got it centered, and we've got that diagonal in the distance. We've got these diagonals coming up here, and then we've got the people in the foreground balanced with these torches. Very cool. Also got the lens flare coming in from the distance, creating more depth. This series is going to be super visually stunning. I think this trailer is more stunning than the Game of Thrones one I did, the House of the Dragon, but they're two different movies and one seems to be more sci-fi than the other. So it's got two different styles, which is great. It's a cool shot with the explosion in the distance, aerial perspective, nice lighting, reflective water. It's going to have tons of great shots. Notice how they're filming low, kind of creating a mystery and just showing the hands, and that's an aspect of view. We can tell that it's hands with very sharp claws. Even these masks and weapons are creating little diagonals within the scene. Great repetition, centered composition, all this repetition in the background. We've got these repeating shapes here and here, and then the centered composition. Great shot. This one definitely working with that sinister diagonal. Put the grid on, you can see it's definitely locking in and paralleling the grid there. Aerial perspective, lens flares, nice figure ground relationship. Got the diagonal of the rope. Even if it's a small diagonal like this rope, it all contributes to the composition. You can take that off and just, if that rope wasn't there, it would still be a great shot, but it just adds something to the scene. Another center shot here, aerial perspective and repeating shapes. Separated shapes as well. Got everybody's heads clearly separated from each other as it goes around. Nice aerial perspective here, repeating shapes. This is a very cool shot. Person swimming in the water. Looks like they're trying to escape that big monster in the background. Notice how it's curling around the person swimming. That's creating a nice little pocket of negative space. So she's clearly defined, and then this is clearly defined as well. Nice figure-ground relationship there. Very cool shot. This is a great shot right here. Aspect of view, the limbs are spread. Aerial perspective, tons of little particles and silhouetted shapes flying around in the air. Great shots. Even this chain right here is creating a diagonal. If we put the grid on, we can see how it's paralleling that sinister diagonal. Great shot there. Another great shot. Look at the diagonals in the background. You see them paralleling this sinister diagonal. These two. We've got this diagonal here. We've got this diagonal. And then this diagonal. Look how they're paralleling the diagonals of our grid. This one's the 45-degree angles of that square. Very cool. Great shots. Very cool little creature with the aerial perspective on the left here. Nice depth being created in that scene. More aerial perspective. Explosions. Epic adventures. All the particles in the air. Center composition. Very cool shot there. You can see how they're just to the left of that center line. And then their gazing direction is going to the right. And then all this interest here is also going to the right. But that's it for this one, you guys. I really appreciate the support and all the comments. And please leave a suggestion down below. Let me know if you like this kind of stuff. And if you want to see anybody else, let me know. All right. Take care, guys.